Bullies ripped the new teacher's shirt in class. Her judo throw left them on the floor. The classroom froze. Desks rattled as the new teacher's voice echoed through the silence, calm but sharp like steel. Enough! In one swift motion, she grabbed the bully's wrist, and before anyone could blink, bam! He was flat on the floor. The entire class gasped. The girl who had been mocked, laughed at, and humiliated just moments ago stood tall, her torn shirt fluttering slightly, eyes burning not with rage, but with quiet strength. No one knew that the new teacher hiding behind those gentle smiles once represented her country in national judo competitions. And no one imagined that this moment would change every single student's life forever. When Ms. Aisha Malik walked into the classroom for the first time, the students didn't even bother to stand up. She was young, soft-spoken, and wore simple clothes. Her voice trembled slightly as she introduced herself. "Good morning, class. I'm Ms. Aisha, your new English teacher." But the boys at the back didn't care. They smirked, whispered, and passed rude comments. The school had a bad reputation for discipline, especially the group led by Rowan, the principal's spoiled nephew, and his two friends Zain and Hamza. They had made it their mission to make every new teacher quit. And when they saw how humble and nervous Aisha seemed, they thought it'd be easy. By the second week, their fun had become open bullying. They'd mimic her accent, throw paper balls during class, and sometimes even fake fainting just to make everyone laugh. Aisha would pause, take a breath, and continue teaching, her calm never breaking. One afternoon, as she wrote on the board, Rohan shouted, "Miss, do you even know what you're teaching? Maybe we should teach you English." The class roared with laughter. Her hand froze midair, chalk trembling slightly between her fingers, but she didn't turn around. Instead, she said softly, "I know more about respect than you do, Rowan. And that's something no book can teach." For a second, the room went quiet. But they didn't stop. Every day, her patience was tested. Every day, she went home, sat on the edge of her bed, and stared at her mother's photo on the wall, the woman who raised her alone, the woman who taught her to fight life with grace. "Amy," she whispered, "I won't give up. Not like before." What no one knew was that Aisha had once been a national-level judo athlete. She had left it all behind after a personal tragedy, her mother's death, and the pressure of life forcing her to choose teaching to survive. But deep inside, that fighter still lived. Quiet. Patient. Waiting. It was a humid Thursday afternoon. Aisha entered the class, her arms full of books, while Rohan and his gang snickered near the back. Today, they had planned something funny. As she turned to write on the board, Hamza whispered loudly, "Miss, your shirt's got a stain, maybe from your cheap perfume." Everyone laughed. Zain added, "Or maybe she spilled her dreams on it, because she sure doesn't have any left." Aisha turned slowly, her face calm. But Rohan stepped forward arrogant, smirking, and before she could react, he grabbed her sleeve and ripped it open. The class went dead silent. For a moment, you could hear nothing but her heartbeat pounding in her ears. Every student froze, some in shock, others in guilt. Aisha's eyes slowly lifted to meet Rohan's. They weren't angry. They were cold. Steady. Like the calm before a storm. She took one step forward. Then another. And suddenly, in one swift, fluid motion, she grabbed Rohan's wrist, twisted it, and flipped him onto the floor with a loud thud. Zain rushed forward, bam. He was down next. Hamza tried to run, but with a firm sweep of her leg, he stumbled and hit the desk. It all happened in seconds. The students gasped, chairs clattering, jaws dropping. Aisha stood tall, breathing steadily. Then she said quietly, "I warned you, respect is something you earn. Not something you mock." Rohan, clutching his arm, looked up in disbelief, not from pain, but shame. Minutes later, the principal arrived after hearing the commotion. He demanded to know what happened. Before anyone could speak, Rohan stood up and said, trembling, "Sir, it was my fault. We were bullying her. She just defended herself." The class watched in shock as he turned to Aisha, voice cracking. I'm sorry, Mississippi truly. That day, something changed, not just for Rowan, but for everyone in that class. They saw strength not in violence, but in control. Not in fear, but in dignity. Weeks passed. Rohan began helping organize class projects. The boys who once mocked Aisha now protected her from others. At the school's annual ceremony, the principal called her on stage. Ms. Aisha Malik, he said, taught us all a lesson far beyond the classroom: that true strength is not loud. It's calm, composed, and unshakable. The audience applauded. And as she smiled, for the first time in a long while, Aisha whispered softly, Ami, I did it. I fought again, just like you taught me. The camera pans out, her gentle smile, the sunlight on her face, the woman who turned pain into power, and humiliation into honor. Never mistake kindness for weakness. The quiet ones often hold the greatest strength because they fight battles you can't even see.